So it's no, you're good. So
This is
occasionally
my
we
chair.
talk to people.
I don't think there's any pictures.
We got YouTube live right now. We're not
Darkness.
live on our podcast yet, but if you guys are sticking around, this is our first interview. It's gonna be legit. Make sure you share this. It's Mark Avalos. There's Adina. You want to wave at Tiana?
Tiana.
And then you have Tyler. Tyler, you want to wave? He's right. Okay. Anyways, we're all here.
The whole crew.
Yep, we're gonna get started here in a second, but you want to make sure you stay tuned for this. And yeah, you're probably looking at it for the first time ever. The Made4More new hat. So
That's right.
we're going with that soon, and we got a slab hat.
Nice.
So, all right, Mark, you ready to go, bro?
I'm ready.
So here I
Here
go.
we go. Are you gonna bust a rap? Let's go.
No.
Alright.
Hang on. What the heck?
This week play the intro song.
Yeah,
You guys get the intro song. You guys get
I
the
hate
See?
the
intro song, baby.
Thank you, Mark.
I just
Yes,
want it to be
yes.
simple.
I'm telling
We
you.
need one.
Simple.
They say that the first day you need something, bro.
We're gonna
We'll
talk
see.
about that.
We got to get the rights
Yeah.
to some Eminem music or something that's.
Yeah.
All right, so we got everything ready. And what's up, guys? It's Mario from the Made4More Consulting Podcast. Welcome back. We're on episode 16. We have an awesome night planned for you tonight. So make sure that you are ready to, share this. And again, we're going to tell you why here in just a second. But we have Adina here. Welcome back from your leadership retreat.
Glad to be back.
Etiana.
Hey, hey.
And then Tyler on the camera and on the ring light. So we are growing here. And before I introduce what we're doing tonight, I just want to say remember to follow us on social media. And if you aren't watching this, if you haven't, you want to log on to YouTube to check out our new hats that we have. They'll be going on sale ASAP. I believe they're $20 on our website. I think they're $20 right now. I'm getting a look. So
They should be more than that.
well, we'll see.
We'll talk about it.
Stay tuned for the price on these hats. But anyways, so we have a special night tonight. It's our first ever interview. This guy's a friend. He is a would you call it a colleague?
Colleague?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So we
Friend,
get to he's a friend, a colleague. We are doing business together for Made4More, and that's not the only reason he's here. The reason he's here is to talk about how he got
Get a free
started.
hat.
And no, he wants
no,
a free hat.
no.
So, welcome to the
Check,
show and the podcast.
Hit
Mark
that subscribe button.
Avalos.
Hit that subscribe button.
Hit the
guys.
subscribe button.
Help me out, Mario. Help me out, bro.
So this guy is gonna bring all the followers to us. That's what it is. Mark, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Excited to be here. Honored.
Yeah, man. So you, the way I should introduce you is you've won multiple awards.
All right.
You've been on
Okay.
multiple TV shows, which are Diners, Driving, and
Drivers, and diners, drivers, and dives. Yes. Would you like me to listen?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I was ready for it. All right. So we've been on a few. Been on the Travel Channel a couple of times. First one was All You Can Meet
Okay.
with Chuy Martinez.
Okay.
He's a DJ out of LA. The other one was Food Paradise, which was also on the Travel Channel. Curbside Eats, which that one was kind of cool because it was the host for that was one of the cops on Super Troopers. For you
Oh
old
yeah,
school,
yeah.
The red haired cop. So that guy.
Oh
was-
my gosh.
Yeah, he was the interviewer, which is cool. He's a cool dude. And then Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives, Man vs. Food. And I think we may have even been on the Food Network Canada.
Man, dude.
So just a few shows. It's been fun. It's been a good ride.
That's awesome. And so so just so you guys know, Mark owns his own barbecue joint. It's called SLAB, and you make sure that you capitalize
Absolutely,
SLAB.
yes.
So the first time I met Mark and we were doing these meetings, I would put capital S and then lowercase LAB, and Mark was like, "Hey man, can we capitalize it all?" And I'd forget to, so then I'd capitalize it, and then I'd send a text or something. He's like, "Hey man, can you capitalize SLAB?" And I was like,
We're building habits, Mario. Building habits.
Exactly. So SLAB stands for, what does it stand for, bro?
Slow, low, and bang.
Which is, can you explain that?
So for those who are not in the know, it's a culture that came out of Houston. Started slow, loud, and bang.
Yeah.
It's those old Caprice classics that have like 22-inch wheels or 24-inch wheels, and they have those things called swangers, elbows.
Yeah.
Some of you
That's
guys
crazy.
think they're annoying, but that's part of the culture. But
Yeah.
so we just got that name. We felt it was fitting. Slow, low, and banging. It just it was fitting for the barbecue.
Yeah,
Slow, low, and bang.
And so if you guys don't know this, if you've never been into Slab, one, get there, but two, it's around the hip hop culture as well, man. That's one of my favorite things, to walk in and listen to some Cube or any, the other day, Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
And some old school Redman.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, who else was he a part of? Wu-Tang Clan.
Wu-Tang Clan, sure.
Yeah, dude. So again, we're gonna get started. So Mark's a friend. Mark, so tell us. So you have kids, right? You have 2 kids.
I do. I have a 11-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy, Mabry and Lincoln.
Okay. You're married, obviously.
I'm married. Yes. Yes, I'm married still.
Yeah, no doubt. And so you live here in the Hill Country, but tell us about, man. Let's get started. Where it all started. Like, where were you born? And
Okay.
How did you get here, man?
Sure. This is maybe the part you want to edit because I am from San Francisco, California. Sorry about that, guys. But I got here as quick as possible. I mean, I moved. My parents moved, not I moved. I didn't pick up and leave. But 5 years, after I was born, my dad, he worked for Pan Am.
Yeah.
Which you guys may not even know what Pan Am is, but it was an airline, and so he got moved to Houston. And so our family moved from California to Houston when I was like 5, 6 years old. And so, I've lived in Texas pretty much my whole life. I mean, Houston and primarily Austin. I went to junior high, high school, and college here. Went to St. Ed's, the other university here. Yeah.
What middle school and high school did you go to? Because a lot of, the OGs here in Austin.
I went to Dobie Junior High, and I went to Reagan.
Reagan.
That's right, not without honor.
Dang, man. Reagan, are they the Owls? Or what are they?
Whoa, the Owls.
No, I can't remember because we helped
The
Reagan.
Screaming Owls or what?
What are they?
No,
What
the
are
Raiders.
Raiders.
The Raiders, yes.
Come on.
My bad.
Well,
my bad.
back in the day. Now they're not known by Reagan Raiders anymore.
Man, I remember we did a camp where we went and we helped clean up their classrooms and stuff. But it was considered, one of the one of the tougher schools.
Yeah.
But so many good kids were coming out of there when they started spending time with them. But anyways, awesome. So Reagan, St. Ed's.
Yep, went to St. Ed's.
Legit. We have a few friends that we have a friend that coached there. Hopefully she'll listen to this. But so tell us. So you came from Houston to Austin.
Yeah.
How was your experience in high school and college? Like in high school, did you know that you wanted to go in for like what'd you go to college for?
Psychology.
Psychology.
Right. Liberal arts major.
What about sports?
Sports. Played baseball.
Yeah.
What
position?
Center field.
Okay. Who Ken Griffey Jr. is, that right?
Yes.
The best ever.
He was the best.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson was.
Well, Bo Jackson. Yeah, Bo knows. Yeah, you're right.
knows.
Go for it. Yeah. So, baseball.
Very balanced. But so and actually tennis.
Tennis.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite tennis player growing up?
Growing up, it was probably Ivan Lendl, even though he was like
wow.
a robot. But
Wow.
Pete Sampras was
That was my
another one.
favorite of all time.
I love Pete Sampras, and then Roger Federer. I just kind of like those classic stuff.
What do you think
all
about
around court?
was it Patrick McEnroe?
Sure.
Right.
The brother of John McEnroe.
Yeah. Patrick and John. And then when I was a kid, dude, I used to. So did you ever go outside and just hit up against the wall?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jimmy Connors.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember pretending I was Jimmy Connors in the front yard, and my mom would get mad, and my dad probably, because I was playing tennis against the wall,
Yeah.
pretending I was in the Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Such a
So
But
the only reason
bro.
I started playing tennis was because I lived in an apartment complex that had a tennis court, and so as a baseball player, here's a tennis court with a fence. Exactly what we want to do is just play some home run derby and jack it over the fence.
Yeah.
And just one day out of the blue, me and one of my best friends, we were like, hey man, why don't we try to play this tennis game? And that's how it started, and we just got hooked on it, and I started taking lessons and just fell in love with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you coach tennis?
I did. And again, you probably couldn't tell by now because I eat so much barbecue. But 7-8 years, yeah, I taught tennis. I taught tennis actually in Colorado for a bit, and then here in Texas, here in Austin at Westwood Country Club.
Okay, so we grow up, we move here, you go to college, psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think at that point in your life that you would be in the food industry?
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, the goal was to do sports psychology.
Yeah.
And so I actually had moved to Denver.
Yeah.
And so I was going to try to go to Colorado State, and just got sucked into that Colorado lifestyle of the mountains, and and I actually lived in Aspen for about a year and a half, where I taught tennis in the summers and taught skiing in the winters, and just enjoyed some time. But then it quickly kicked me back to Austin, because it's very expensive to live out there, and and I just had some fun times just out there. And growing up though, my first jobs were all in the food industry, and I like the customer service aspect of it. I've always did, and so it wasn't so much the food part as much as it was the serving part, because my mom, she's a housekeeper, and so she was out, growing up all my life, and so she showed me that servant mentality.
No doubt.
And so that always stuck with me. And so even, when I was looking for jobs, I just wanted to be able to serve, people. And so I just liked it.
That's awesome, man. So going really quick, we're not jumping back and forth, but
Sure.
Let's say you before college, like before you went to St. Ed's, it wasn't all, you didn't grow up, I'm not going to use the word privilege, but we're in the U.S., we're all privileged to some extent because of the country we grew up in, but it wasn't all easy.
No.
Not at all. And I know you and I have talked about this.
Sure.
But meaning where you're at now, you've had to put in the work, right?
Right. That's the other part that my mom showed me, was just hard work. My mom's a single parent. My dad was out of the picture about 10, and so she pretty much raised me. And I'm the only child.
Yeah.
It was just always me and her, and so she would work every single day to make sure that she could provide. Never asked for a single dime from the government. Never asked for a single dime from my dad.
Yeah.
Did it all on her own. She was Dave Ramsey before there was Dave Ramsey. She still is. She lives like that. She's always has been, person that pays cash. But anyway, she just instilled that hard work ethic in me, and so that stuck with me. And so, that's one of the it was never easy. I grew up, I was wearing Target clothes before Target was cool, back in the day. And so, but again, I always felt loved, and I always had what I needed.
Yeah. And so, one of the reasons I asked that is because if anyone's listening right now, halfway through, it's not just going to be about SLAB. It's about the fact that if you're a single mom right now and you have dreams and goals, right? Or if you're a single student, or you have a single parent and you're living in a household right now and you listen to this, whether you're 15 or, about to graduate, I want you to understand that it's not like he had this paved out for him this whole time. There's a grind that he had to put in, and that's why I wanted to share parts of that story.
Sure.
But just real quick, it was funny. Did you ever wear Jordache?
Jordache, no.
Okay, what did you wear? I wore Jordache. I remember freaking Jordache.
Bro, I wasn't. I think I had Levi's, but I was wearing Lee and
was it
Rustler, bro.
That's right. Yes.
I graduated with Levi's. That's when I think in high school, And again, the one thing about my mom being a housekeeper, and she worked for the same family forever, and we consider them family, and she raised not only their kids but their kids' kids, and so they call her Mimi, and so I always had hand-me-downs,
Yeah. And
So,
that's a legacy though, bro.
Right.
She's building that legacy
Oh,
by the hard
yeah.
work she puts in.
No, my mom is like family to them, and so we always would go on trips with them, and so it was a good time. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So real quick before we move on,
Sure.
let's say you did work the summers and you had money. What was the one thing that maybe people didn't understand that you wanted to buy with them? Like for me, it was Jabos, right?
Yeah.
And the jeans, jeans were a huge thing to me. So I'd go to the Buckle and spend $80 or Lucky jeans,
Yeah.
Jabos and Lucky jeans. What about you?
I wanted a watch and Jordans.
What J's?
So it was the ones that had that kind of that elephant pattern.
Yep.
They were white with the baby blue, and so I got those, and it was fun too because I was wearing them, and I was at the house with the family that my mom used to work with, and they're like, "Dang, it must be nice to have those $100 shoes," and I'm like,
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I got a watch too, it was a Seiko watch. So
Okay.
it was cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting how times have changed whenever our kids get money and they're spending it on an app.
Yeah.
Or yeah, just interesting. So you're at St. Ed's. You moved to Colorado, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then where do you meet your wife?
So Colorado kicks me back to Texas. I get a job, you know, at Westwood Country Club.
Just doing
Teaching tennis.
teaching tennis. Okay.
So you know, living the life of a tennis pro, assistant pro. And so one of our friends, they used to have these little supper clubs, or these, you know, supper clubs where we'd volunteer somebody's house, and somebody would say, hey, you know, they volunteer to cook.
Yeah.
And it happened to be my first time and her first time there, and so we just clicked on the tennis part. At first, I think she was turned off because I was like just lounging there like it was my house. You know, they had a recliner, and I just reclined that seat. She's like, "Look at this guy. Who the hell is this guy?" You know, coming in. And but you know, we struck up a conversation, and we said, okay, you know, let's go play some tennis. And so that's what happened. We played some tennis, and I guess, you know, come on. no, but you know, I think that was what made us click, and so I was joking with her, but she actually called me.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to maybe she probably played more tennis, but
Yeah.
the other funny part with that was we on the first day we went to a Tex-Mex place, and she ordered a hamburger. I thought that was interesting.
Man. Yeah.
But anyways, but no, we've been
Okay.
there for a while, so
So
very
back
blessed.
in Austin.
Yeah.
Country Club.
So yeah, Austin is where we're
And
at.
so take us. So what happens when barbecue comes in? When this comes into your life, brother?
So barbecue came into my life in '01. So my mom and I buy a house, and the first thing I want to buy is a grill. So I buy a Kamado grill, which it's what spawned Big Green Egg and all the other Kamado grills that you see now is the OG Kamado. And so just got into grilling. I love the whole experience of, you know, grilling meats and hearing that sizzle, seeing that smoke. But what I really liked about it is that now I can say, hey guys, you want to come over because I'm having a cookout.
Yeah.
You know, it was that backyard barbecue, and so that's kind of where it all took off. Was there? I mean, I just got into it. I got hooked, you know, in grilling, and then I bought a smoker, a little Cook Shack smoker. It was a little electric smoker because I didn't have time and then money to buy these big old rigs that we have now. But you know, I think what was cool about that little smoker is that, you know, I'm self-taught. You know, nobody, you know, no stories about me and my dad or my grandpa or nothing like that. It's all out of books, and I always joke dial-up internet, but dial-up internet played a huge part in me learning what I've learned.
Legit.
And there was a forum back then. It's called barbecue-4-u, and now it's actually a podcast and a YouTube called Barbecue Central. And so learned so much from there, and just trial and error. And I came across this. Again, because I'm reading, I'm not just Texas barbecue, but Alabama, Memphis, Carolina, and so, you know, I came across pork shoulder.
Yeah.
It's called pork butt, and fell in love with this sandwich called a pulled pork and coleslaw sandwich. You know, I was like, man, this is really good. I've never tasted anything like this. You know, in Texas style, you know, it's brisket, sausage, ribs,
No doubt.
very straightforward, very traditional, and I love it. But I was always the guy that would grab that slice of bread and make a sandwich out of it. Just like if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I grab the tortillas and making tacos out of it.
Heck yeah.
And so when I came across this pulled pork and coleslaw sandwich, man, mine was blown. And this was back in, you know, '03, you know, around there, '02, '03, which pulled pork in Texas was unheard of. You know, and so it wasn't a thing at all. And so, but it blew my mind. I was like, man, what else could I do like this? It's in a sandwich form, you know? And so I started just playing around with different styles, you know, and just seeing what else I could create.
Yeah. And so that's how it took off. Pulled pork.
Pulled pork and coleslaw. That's the OG. That's what we call it. It's the notorious
OG.
PIG.
So if you go into SLAB and you want to try where all that started, it's it's notorious.
It's the notorious B.I.G. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. So you start messing around with that.
Yeah.
And then I know you sent me a text with a picture
Sure.
of the original. So how did you get to
Sugar Shack.
Sugar Shack?
All right, so it's on. And so here I am, just into barbecue. I love it. And then just one day I have this vision or this epiphany, I mean, you want to call it. And it was to create a barbecue concept, and this was around '05, centered around hip hop, which I grew up with hip hop. I mean, we kind of break off on that a little bit. Is I my cousin in San Francisco was a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
I was aspiring DJs, like everybody in the '70s.
Yeah.
And so he was playing two songs for me back in the day. It was the Pina Colada song, Escape, and then Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
And so, I just fell in love with the storytelling of hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
And fast forward, as I'm like 10 or 11 living in Houston, my very first concert was at the Summit, which is now Lakewood Church.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and so I went and saw, it was called the Swatch Watch Festival. It was Houdini, the Fat Boys, Run DMC, the Beastie Boys, Curtis Blow, and his DJ AJ, and it was Salt and Pepper. And so, yeah, I got to see all those guys. So it just, I just grew up with that hip hop culture. I just loved it. I just loved all of it, and then got into gangster rap, NWA, got into all that. Biggie, Snoop, yeah. But and so I just loved it. And so when I had this vision, I was like, man, nobody's embracing this culture, this genre. I'm like, why? I know, it had obviously some negative connotations, but still there's realness behind it. There's genuineness behind the stories they were telling. Mm-hmm. And so, I just love that part about it. And so, I was like, man, I want to embrace it. I don't want to hide the fact that I love this, because for me, I always wanted to have music and food to tie, because I go back to these backyard barbecues. That's how they were always worked for me. Whenever I had a backyard barbecue, I'd always have like a CD playing. I'd already had burned a CD, from Napster or whatever.
Yes.
We're going old school here. We're going old school.
No doubt.
So I always have a playlist, man, that I would be playing, and so, that again, music was going to play a big part in whatever I opened. And so for me, again, it was hip hop. And then the other big part was the barbecue sandwiches. Because I was like, man, I love Texas barbecue, but I can go, at the time there was not as many as there are now. I mean, God bless, everybody's, starting a barbecue restaurant now. But back then, it was the Salt Lake, it was who else was back then? Smoky Moe's, Rudy's was kind of getting going, they were a big deal. It was all kind of straightforward. It was like a called straight plate sometimes, and it's just like your plate of 3 meat, 2 sides, and I was like, man, they're great, but I really like this barbecue sandwich that I just made.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to center it around all of that, just sandwiches, because there's so many of these other places. I want to be different, and so that was going to be the other part. I was going to do only barbecue sandwiches.
Okay, so far, man, what I've heard you say that I love is the one part just now saying, inspiring people that are listening to this to go, just be different. Like, don't do what everybody else is doing. I know one of the things that we mention all the time is, what is no one doing? Do what no one's doing to reach who no one else is reaching, because there's people out there that you can have a customer base with. So go reach them, but do something different. And then the other part that I'm saying is, here's someone who's successful at barbecue that you just studied. You studied it. It was all self-taught, like you said.
Right.
And to tell people right now that's listening, man, if you have a dream, and put in the work. Start studying. Start getting not so much a mentor, but look at who's doing it and go, okay, how can I put my spin on that?
Right.
So
when I had that vision, I wrote it all down. It was a goal. It was like, I'm gonna reach this goal. I'm gonna achieve this. This is what I want.
So you wrote it down.
I wrote it down, And so, one of the things you said about studying is I got really nerdy into it. It's like I would take notes on, because that's the other thing as a cook that you sometimes forget is that when you're making something is that you may not write down, the recipe that you just done, and then you're finished with it. And you're like, man, that's really good, but man, I forgot how to make it.
Yeah.
And so I got really into writing down all the recipes. There was how I was making them and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question about Sugar Shack, and so that name was always, it was going to be Sugar Shack Barbecue. That was going to be my name, and so there's a story behind that. Is that I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and again, here we go with a reference of an old show. I grew up watching Good Times. And so if you watch that Good Times, at the beginning of the credits and at the end of the credits, they show a painting by Ernie Barnes called The Sugar Shack. And it's of people dancing, and if you look very back in the back, you'll see this banner that hangs that says, "Welcome to the Sugar Shack." And so that's why I was like, man, now that's the name, that's what I want. And so,
that's legit.
Right, it was always going to be Sugar Shack Barbecue, so, I knew that, and so then I contracted this cartoonist to create the logo, and which I sent you, which you can share. And if you look at that logo, you're going to see a lot of stuff that I just referenced. If you look at the some of the font and some of the colors, it's the colors of the Sugar Hill Gang record. It's that purple, yellow, red. And then the other reference, if you look at the pig, and for those of you guys who may grew up with the cartoon called Fat Albert, so that little pig is dressed up like one of the characters in the Fat Albert, which is Rudy. Rudy used to always be he was the guy that was always dressed up with these white shoes and looking all nice with the turtleneck and the vest. And so if you look at that character, he has that kind of look as well.
That's legit. Yeah, I see that, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So again, it was always Sugar Shack Barbecue, and so that's how it became the name.
So you start making these sandwiches. You have this dream to start something,
Right.
And you say, hey, it's going to be called Sugar Shack.
Yep.
What happens? Like, where do you start? What is it?
So I was a partner in an online advertising business at the time. So I was making decent money, and so I was like, man, I really want to take off with this thing. Maybe catering somehow. So I was like, I want to buy one of those big, rigs, And so at the time, I started seeing food trailers come up. This is when they were called Coach Roaches back in the day.
Coach Roaches.
Yeah, and so but I started seeing. I was like, I wonder if I could make it a go, but with barbecue and sandwiches, and create this concept, but in a trailer. And so I got my neighbor, and I started pitching him the idea. His name is Rance, good friend of mine. And so I was like, Rance, let's go buy this trailer that I found on, I think at the time was maybe Craigslist was just popping up. And so I found it in Dallas, and we went and picked up this trailer. It had a little log cabin with a rotisserie smoker in the back. It's called Southern Yankee Barbecue Smokers, and I think they still make them. And we went and bought this trailer, drove it back to Austin, and started just cooking barbecue on it. First I needed to learn the pit and learn that side of it, because that was a whole different style. And so burnt many briskets on that thing, just learning, because I knew that brisket was a big deal. And so I got a catering job through I think it was through Monique, and so it was for a birthday, and it was I think it was about 100 people. And man, I made all these briskets, and sure enough, man, they overcooked. I'm like, oh man.
Oh, dang.
And so it was funny, because it was a Hispanic or a Mexican wedding, and so I overcooked it, and I was like, man. So I just got barbecue sauce, started just adding barbecue sauce to the meat. And anyways, it was funny because there's this meat called machada, and so it's kind of like it's what it is. It's brisket that's dried up, and so they're like, man, we really like that style. It's really good. And I was like, yeah.
You meant to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but now that was the start of the catering. But then somehow, one of my friends had somebody that they knew that worked for what a magazine that was called Tribeca, but it was called something else before that. And they were just doing stories, and they wanted to do a food story. And again, because my name was different, and because even the logo was different, they're like, man, hey, we want to talk to this guy because this looks kind of unique.
It's different than everything.
Right, and they're like, we want to talk to him. And so I did this for this. They gave me like the middle page, the middle page of this. You know, I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, they highlighted us, and from there I started getting catering jobs. And then that's when I was like, okay, I want to make a run of this because the online advertising business, yes, it was very successful, and yes, I was making good money, but it wasn't my passion. It wasn't my dream. And I was working with a good friend from high school, you know, and that was his passion, you know, and I felt like, man, I'm going to help you with whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was just not what I was feeling, you know.
Okay.
Now I drive a Lamborghini, but you know, whatever.
Damn.
But you know, you know, again, I just wanted to pursue what I felt was my passion, which was this. And again, I felt like this was God was saying, hey, this is what I want for you.
Okay.
So
you buy this thing.
Yep.
And you're not brick and mortar. It's just you and this trailer, right?
So I'm about to drop some new knowledge on you that you may have not known. I know
Okay.
that John and Nate know.
So
some
we
of
and
our
Mark
friends.
have a mutual friend, John. If you've heard previous podcasts, we call him John the douchebag, common denominator Evans.
Man.
He's not a douchebag. He's usually the common denominator in everything because again, the common denominator between me and Mark is we met through John.
Right.
And he knows people.
Yeah,
John
yeah.
always knows
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
and if he doesn't, he's gonna know you. So
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
So, anyways, I had a buddy of mine, you know, here I'm getting this thing going, I'm doing some catering, and I know that I want to pursue this and make it a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see the trailers business, you know, I see the trailer scene kind of starting to take off, and I'm like, man, I want to give this a go. I want to just do this, get into the food, just the trailer business. So at the time, I had a friend from church, and you know, he had been kind of successful. He had electrical engineer background and worked for what is now Silicon Labs, and so you know, I trusted him, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was telling him my story, and he's like, man, I'll help you out, and however I can. And I was like, well, I want to do this trailer thing. He's like, no. He's like, if you're gonna do this, you need to do it right. You need to go into a restaurant, you know, and I'm gonna help you. And yes, I'm not gonna be in a trailer, you know, I'm not gonna go from
Mm-hmm.
corporate to a trailer. He's like, but I'll help you get into a restaurant. And so I was like, and of course, you know, I of course want it because at the end of the day, that's what you want.
That's the dream, yeah.
That's the dream, right? So I'm like, cool, let's do it. And so you know, I refi the house, you know, I take out a home equity loan. He puts in some money. And so we ended up taking the spot downtown off of Waller Creek called the Texas Picnic Company. It's a little deli, and this is again I think it's 07. And so you know we take it over, and well the very day we sign the contract and the lease, he ends up having
Some stuff going
on off on the side, and then I don't want to go into that, but he ends up not being present for me for the first, you know, year of the business. And then here I am, I don't know him, you know, I know the food side of it, but I don't know the business side of it. And it got to the point where he was trying to come in, but he wouldn't come in. And I was like, hey, bro, just stay home and I'll run this, you know. We had some employees that came with the location when we got it. And so I was like, I'll do this, you know, I'll do this by myself, you know, and you just kind of make sure the numbers are right, you know, and make sure that we're staying in line there. And so that's what we did, and man, it was going well, but it was a deli, and because, you know, it was so hard just for me, I couldn't transfer, it was supposed to be transformed to the Sugar Shack barbecue.
Yeah.
But because he wasn't there, and it was just hard, it was just making sure that we were making ends meet, I kept it as the deli, but the deli, you know, I was doing well with it.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I love sandwiches, and so, you know, the deli, I was doing really well, and then 08 hit, and that's when it was like,
That's when everything crashed. You and I were
Right.
talking about that
Yeah.
downstairs.
And so we would do a lot of caterings because we were downtown. We do a lot of caterings for a lot of the businesses around there, and man, that all just got put on pause, and we started struggling. And you know, we were there for a couple years, and I was like, hey man, we need to do something because we're not making it. I was like, I got this trailer, you know, let's just put it up somewhere. let's do something with it. And he's like, all right, well, we need to put it in somewhere that there's a lot of people, a lot of walking traffic. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we started driving around and ended up at UT.
So there is a university here in Austin.
Yes.
Probably the best university in the nation.
So we end up at UT over there by the UCC, which is not on campus, but it's right off of campus.
Mm-hmm.
And so we become the first food trailer at the university.
And was it Sugar Shack?
It was called Sugar Shack.
Okay.
And so, no, I'm sorry. We kept it Texas Picnic Company to keep it consistent. And so now, cool. We're running the restaurant, but the trailer is the one supporting the restaurant.
Wow.
Because again, we're the first trailer at UT. Students are blown away, and because now we're doing barbecue sandwiches at the trailer. And so the students are like, wow, this is different. These are barbecue sandwiches. I love it. We're doing barbecue wraps and tortillas.
What was the price point on something like that? Since I'm a college student and I walk out and see it,
It's like $6.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, we did really well. And so, we got to the point where I was like, okay, man, our lease is up here we were getting close to the lease, being up at the restaurant. I was like, we need to let this restaurant go. We need to get somebody to take this over, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
And so we let the restaurant go, focused on the trailer, and then, I was like, okay, this is doing well, but can we get another trailer?
Yeah.
And so then we got a second trailer, and we positioned that one over there by the KD house, or by what's that corner? The Castilian.
Mm-hmm.
Right across from the Castilian. And so now we have two trailers running. And here we are running that, it's going well. But again, my partner at the time, he's just having some struggles. He's with somebody that she's having some issues, and he's right along the ride with her. And he starts getting into drinking. And so now, he's struggling, getting to, just struggling performing. And I was like, man, I don't know if this is working. And here comes God and gives you that sign where he knows that, hey, it's time to move on. And that partner ends up burning my trailer.
Like physically burning
the
trailer?
Yeah, burning the trailer. So I remember I was at the other trailer, and he had just closed down that trailer that was close to at the UCC. And, I was like, man, I need more wood. I'm going to go get some from that trailer at the UCC. And so I'm driving over there, and I see the fire trucks.
Oh my
and then I see the smoke, and then on my head I'm like, no, please, no. And sure enough, I get really close, and I see the firemen on the top of it, on the roof, hitting it with the axe.
Oh my
they're
gosh,
going at it with the hose, and I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, no. And so I call him up. I'm like, bro, I was like, the trailer's on fire. And so I think it was like maybe a week after that, I was like, hey, bro, this ain't gonna work. I was like, it's time for us to part ways.
Yeah.
And
was that? I mean, we say that it's not that easy, right?
No, he didn't understand, why, and we had always obviously been intertwined somehow. I mean, we've tangled finances and all that because we're in business now, but because we got rid of the restaurant, which was the big step,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's just in trailers, it was a lot easier to kind of part ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so no, it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't easy. Excuse me, because we, at the end of the day, we met at church. We were friends. But I felt for him, and I was there with him all the time, and but there was a point where I was like, I knew that it was time for me to move on, because he was just holding us back. No matter what I said, he didn't want to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
even though our friends were all trying to help him out. The Nates, John. I mean, we had a group of church guys that were trying to help out, and so, he just didn't see it, and so I was like, well, bro, I'm sorry, but it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And
So this is what year?
this is around 09.
Okay, so far we've covered about 9 years.
Yeah.
7 to 9 years, but
Right.
again, from the outside looking in, some people think that success comes pretty quick, right?
No.
And so for some people it may, right? It may, but you have to be ready for it. But the other thing is, you just told us from the outside looking in, and me going, man, there's 2 SLAB locations, and I know some of the things are going, on the other end.
Right.
But from the outside, people have this perspective of, oh, it's a running company. It's just, no, but it's that whole discipline equals freedom. You discipline to stay with it, you get the freedom later. But some people think it's easy. But no, here we are going, man, you've gone into a restaurant, you changed the name from Sugar Shack to that Texas.
It was a Texas picnic company.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
so what I'm
whatever,
saying
yeah.
is you've kind of gone, you're following your dream, but it's kind of gone into something else.
Right.
And then you go back to a truck, 2 trucks, and then you lose one, the economy crashes.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer business carried us through, the students carried us through all this. I mean, I love the university. I mean, it created us. And so, you know, after we parted ways, the crazy part was, and again, I'm just trying to be good-hearted. I was like, listen, Mark, I'm sorry, that's his name. And so, I was like, you need to rebuild my trailer. You know, and he's like, well, what are we going to do with the spots? He's like, and I told him, I was like, listen, I was like, I'll let you rebuild my trailer, and then you can have the main spot, which was UCC.
Yeah.
I'll take the Castilian, you know, and I knew that there was a smaller spot. It wasn't, but I was like, let's just part ways. I'll give you the better spot. So for some time, we were actually competing against each other.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of weird. And then I even let him use my trailer as he was building his trailer. And then finally, you know, again, I'm just trying to be good-hearted. And so, you know, finally gave my trailer back. But he goes out of business. I'm running now the Castilian still. And
So what, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, as a business person and as a leader, what separates the two? You're selling the same thing?
Right.
We have 2 trailers
Pretty
selling
much.
the same thing, so what separates?
It was pretty much the same. I mean, I think he had changed the name. I can't even remember what the name was of his. And we're pretty much saying selling the same product, because obviously he knows my recipes.
Yeah.
But I think what differentiated everything is that I stuck through. I was like, you know, again, this is my dream, it's my passion. You know, I'm not going to let anything derail it. Nothing's going to control me other than this. And at the time, obviously, the one thing that I mentioned is I just got married.
Yeah.
You know, and I have at Mabry. You know, and so, but when I parted ways with him, it was like God said, okay, hey, I'm gonna open up doors, and as you know, I'm referencing God because I'm a man of faith, and I know that this is, you know, He's the big part of all this.
Yeah.
And so when we parted ways, I mean, the doors started opening up for me and catering jobs, and you know, things started clicking more. It's like, you know, you just feel like, okay, this is going somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm married. I've got Mabry, and you know, and God bless her, but she knew me as by dad because I was gone all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm working so hard, and so, you know, but we're going well. I decided, okay, I'm gonna open up another trailer, and so I opened up one on East 6th Street.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I think there's even pictures with Nate and John out there. So now I'm running that trailer, the Castilian trailer, the East Side trailer, and I've taken on a buddy of mine to help me out, you know, to kind of run everything. And here we go. You know, it starts taking off, catering's taking off, and are we making a ton of money? No. No.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody has that misconception, like these food trailers are making a ton of money. No, at the time, you know, when we first started, yes, but then now that I've got 2 trailers, now the trailer scene is just blowing up all over Austin. I think
You're not
that's
the only one.
Right,
Yeah.
there's just a ton of trailers now. Now at UT, there's a ton of trailers, you know, and so a lot more competition and a lot more, you know, so, you know, here we go. So.
Yeah. So how does that go from trailer to, was it Sugar Shack, or did you go right into SLAB?
Sugar Shack, still Sugar Shack.
Yeah.
And so the story how it went from Sugar Shack to SLAB, so, you know, I'm getting going, you know, but I'm not getting to the point where I need to, you know, I'm not making it, you know. Thankfully I have a sugar mom. My wife works hard, you know, and she was, God bless her, and you know, even my mom helped out for a bit, because again, it was a lot of struggles. You know, that restaurant really, you know, kicked me in the butt. But you know, so here I am. I've got the 2 trailers, you know, and I'm just like, man, this is really taking off. You know, the buddy that's helping me out, he's part time, and you know, I'm like, I just need some help. And I remember like it was yesterday, and this is the part that just I get emotional still. And so I'm going down the road on 35, and when God hits you with something, you hear it, and you know, I'm driving down, and I'm like, God, I need help. I need somebody to help me.
I remember hearing. No, you're good, man. I remember hearing this. I love hearing this part because I remember we were driving after we played golf at Top Golf, and I said, "So tell me a little bit about this." And this is what he told me.
No, so you know, he put someone's name on my head.
Yeah. In your heart and in your head. So he says, "Hey."
Right, and it's just a friend from high school, and who I've seen, you know, a few times, and I knew he was going through some struggles and pains, and I knew, you know, but I hadn't talked to him as somebody that, you know, hardly ever answered the phone.
Yeah.
But he kept, you know, he hardly answers the phone now. But, you know, again, he you know, I'm driving down there on 35, and I'm over there by the Papacitos. Again, I remember like it was yesterday, and God just hammered it, boom, and just put my buddy Chip's name on me. And I'm like, okay, and you ignore it, and when you ignore it, he hits you again, boom, and it's like, hey, you need to call Chip. And I'm like, what? He says, well, God, you want me to call Chip? And I was like, okay. So sure enough, I called Chip. He answers the phone. And so I'm like, what's going on, bro? I was like, hey, man, how you doing? You know, he's telling me he's kind of going through some odd jobs because he had just got laid off from Freescale, where he'd been for 18 years, you know, because he had some issues that were going on with them. And so I was like, man, listen, I was like, Chip, I was like, I know you're kind of been through some odd jobs. I was like, you know, I need some help, you know, doing this barbecue thing. It's been doing well, but I can't do it by myself. And he's like, man, I don't know nothing about barbecue, but I'll help you out. And so, you know, and that's how it kind of started, is him and I were just, he came and helped me out. And we would sit there in the little trailer, and you know, at this point, you know, I closed the second trailer because they sold that lot. So we're just doing the Castellan trailer, and it's him and I just working these events and you know, selling for the students. And then I started seeing these food trucks kind of driving around, and I was like, man, that's where this is where that's gone, is for these food trucks, because we're stuck in this trailer here. These food trucks can drive wherever they want, you know, and we're stuck at the university. And so I was like, we got to get out of this. I was like, you know, I gotta find a way to get us out of here. I need to find a way to get a truck. And so, you know, we started searching on Craigslist, and we find a truck, you know, that I liked. It was a little ice cream truck. It was not very big. And so I was like, Chip, let's go check it out. So we go to San Antonio. It's a little bitty ice cream truck, but it had this cool vibe to it. It looked like an old post office truck. And so he was like, bro, this is like old and it's small. And I was like, well, you don't like it? He's like, no, dude, we're not gonna be able to work out of this. So I was like, okay, go back on Craigslist, and I look up again, and we find another one that's right down the road. And so I was like, well, let's go check this one out. And so we go and we look at this truck, and it's parked in the front of this house. It's an old UPS truck, an old box truck, and it's all rusted out. We don't even know if it runs. And talked to the guy, and the guy's like, listen, he's like, you know, I think you can get it running. It shouldn't cost you that much. You just need X and this. We were like, and I look at Chip. I was like, what do you think? He's like, well, this is a lot better than that other one. I was like, well, let's get it. And so we had the money, so we buy the truck. We haul it all the way to Austin, and you know, we have now this just beat up truck, and and so the way they kind of rolled there is like, he has a brother-in-law who's also named Chip, and we just got back from the Army, and he wanted to invest in something. And so, you know, Chip's like, hey man, my brother-in-law wants to invest in something, you know, maybe he could help us out. And so, you know, we get him, try the food, he falls in love with it, you know, and he's like, man, I'm with you guys, let's go, let's get this thing going. And sorry, there's a point that I missed. Raph would probably get upset if I didn't, because I remember now. Raph, so there's a lot. Right. No. But there's a part though, because I remember about the truck now. It's like we had part of the money, but not all the money. So at the time, I had met Raph on a ski trip in 07, and so he you know, I was kind of kept in touch with him. He kind of always kind of got food for me, and I remember so I remember I was like, hey, I call him up, you know, to see if I can get some money to go down to San Antonio to buy this truck. And he's like, well, how much you need? I was like, I think I've got, 35. I'd be all right. And then he's like, all right, well, 35,000 is a lot of money, but I think I can help you find it. I was like, whoa. I was like, no, dude, $3,500. He's like, oh, $3,500.
That's awesome.
He's like, oh man, come on, get it. I'll give it to you. And that's how we ended up getting that truck. Sorry, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Ralph will be on there next week.
Right. That's a big part too. So anyway, brother-in-law comes in, Chip comes in, and we get this thing going. And so Big Chip, he's military, retired colonel, and works for the state. And he was big on, hey man, we need to incorporate this company, And so when we went to incorporate Sugar Shack, the name was taken. It was taken by a snack company in Mission, Texas, and so we're like, man, that sucks. And so one of the employees that we had, where I was just sitting down, I was like, what are we gonna call this? What's the name we can throw? And then the guy throws out, he's like, what about SLAB? I was like, SLAB? He's like, yeah, man, like the SLAB, like the cars just slow down and banging, And I was like, whoa, I was like, kind of like that. And so that's where that name comes.
Slow, low, and banging.
SLAB.
Nice, bro.
And so we get SLAB, we incorporate it, and then now we got to change the whole look and feel of it, right?
Yeah.
And so, as you notice, I'm always big on making sure that it kind of looks professional, because food trailers and food trucks at the time, they're still not trusted, right? You still have this, like, is that thing clean? Is that,
Yeah.
And so I always make sure we spend a little bit of money on marketing.
Yeah.
And so we enlisted a marketing firm called The Bakery to rebrand us to SLAB. And again, Big Chip's like, just do it. I got you guys, I got your back, And so that's what we did. We rebranded it, and then he's like, all right, now it's time to work on this truck. Let's build this truck out. And so we built the truck out. And it's the truck that we have today, still to this day.
Yeah, it's been everywhere. We've seen it. It comes to the neighborhoods, and that's cool.
Right, and so here we are. Our first event was at South by Southwest.
Is this the one where it broke down?
Well, that thing's always broken down. Right?
But when you said you had to find a way to get it there.
Yeah. We had to tow it all the way over here, and then we had to put a new motor in it. Again, that's where Big Chip came in as a money guy. He's like, dude, I'll help you out however. And he's like, but yes, that big truck is 1985 P30 step van.
So if we stop right there, I'm just going to tell people again, if you're putting in the work, there's no excuses.
Right.
There's no excuses if you can have an opportunity to do something. Because right then and there, if you're having to freaking lug around a truck that's not starting, I would sometimes just go, that's it, throwing in the towel. It's a piece of crap. It's just
sure.
But you don't. There's no excuses if you want to reach your dream.
Right. And again, to say that we did this on our own, no. God had his hands in everything, because he put people in front of me when I needed them, who I needed, when I needed. And so that was a big thing, is he always had those people there for me.
Yeah.
And so here we are, we're running now a SLAB. We have this great first showing at South by, and we start doing events, catering events. We start doing office buildings. It starts taking off, and we start outgrowing our current situation of how we're smoking the meats, and I'm like, man, we need to find a kitchen or something, and where I'm sitting at Little Chip's house, and I'm like, we need to find somewhere where we can, make more food. We need a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And again, God's in this. Out of nowhere, here comes a phone call. I get his phone call. He's like, hey, this is Dig Kitchens. I'm the owner of Texas Rib Kings. I'm going down the Rolodex of all the barbecue places in Austin. I need to get out of my current situation. I have a restaurant, so here off of Barnett. And he's like, I just want out of it. He's like, I given it to my manager to run it, and he ran it into the ground. I now have lung cancer, and I can't get anywhere near smoke. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I just need somebody to get me out of this. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, sure, we'll go check it out. And so, I called Chip, but then I also called Raph. I was like, hey, Raph, you're a pretty smart dude. I was like, hey, you mind coming and check out this place with me, because it seems like a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And see, when we go, and sure enough, we look at the space. It has all the equipment that we need, because it was a barbecue place already. It had the, you know, it had the smoker, it had the fixtures inside. And again, the guy was like, I don't want anything. He's like, I just want you guys to take over the lease.
Wow.
And you can have everything as long as you finish the lease. You're good.
Son of a gun.
And so Ralph looks at me. He's like, yeah, dude, we're doing this,
It's a
and
no-brainer.
and then he's like, I'm gonna help you. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And so there we go.
And that's where rap comes in, main
Right.
like a bigger part, right? And so real quick, something just came to mind. Like, through all this so far, it's not what you know; it's a lot of it's who you know.
Absolutely.
Because it's, again, any kind of business that you're in is about people. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about we, and it's about people. And it's not what you know; it's who you know.
Right.
And it's whether or not you're going to push them down or you're going to bring them up with you, and you're going to roll together.
Right.
Dude, that's crazy. And so right now, SLAB is at 2 locations.
2 locations.
You want to tell them where? So the Rib King,
Right.
is still the original.
That's that location right there where we're at the Burnett location. Well,
So-
it used to be the Rib Kings.
So if you're in Austin and you go towards Burnett, right behind the bowling alley,
Right.
is where
Yeah.
SLAB is, man.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite places to be. I like Oak Hill as well.
Right.
I just had never been to SLAB, and when I first went, yeah, dude.
Yeah, so you know that's where it kind of took off. I mean, it was awesome because the beauty of it was we had kind of already established our name prior to that.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm big on customer service, big on quality of food. You know, we were always making everything fresh, and so people had gotten to really know quality and fun with us. You know, and again, the music scene. When I was at UT, you know, on the trailers, because the other thing is that I always have a stereo system just bumping, just music, and so the students would love walking in front of me because I always have it'd be 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning when I'm getting ready, and I'm just booming the music. And so, but you know, we had that following already, so that when we opened the doors of the original SLAB, we had about 1,300 people in line. We had a line from the
Son of a gun,
front of
man.
the door, from the front door all the way to Furniture Row.
Wow. So let me ask you this, just thinking about this, right now you just shared your story with us. Is there anyone on those staffs, and I don't think it's a bad thing, that don't know the history of what you just told us? They probably know where you came from, but I'm just saying, the good thing is, man, listen to this, 'cause listen to that's awesome, dude.
No, and so yeah, there's a lot that don't know that back end.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's awesome, man.
You know, sometimes I give you a hard time, and I have to correct them. Like, guys, do you know that I was working in the trailer no bigger than the restroom? You know, I know where you're at, and that's the one thing now is in the restaurant. You know, is I've always sided with the staff. I always want to take care of the staff because I know what it's like.
Yeah,
and I've been there.
And one of the things we try to say at Made4More is know your people. Number one is know your troops, know your people, because if you have and I'm not talking about knowing where they're always over chest, no, but if you don't know them and there's these abstractions that stand between you and your front line, they think of you as, oh, that's just the owner. He doesn't know anything. But if you know your people, you know their struggle, you know their work habits, and you go, I've been there. Yeah. And that's buy-in, bro.
Right. So, no, and you know, even when we were open, I mean, and I would do some of the hiring and interviewing, I'd let people know, I was like, listen, you know, a lot of jobs you maybe worked, maybe didn't have an owner present. I was like, at this, you're always going to have an owner present.
Yeah.
Always one of us are going to be here. You know, we're here. And the other thing is, like, we're new to this, you know? I mean, Ralph owned some businesses. I've been a partner in a business, but we never owned a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys are coming with the experience from a restaurant, and we'd always let them know, like, hey, you know, if you feel we're not doing something right, let us know. You know, we want to make sure that your voice is heard.
Yeah. So that right there again is what I wanted to say. You say you're going to have an owner present. Well, here's the thing that I know about SLAB is it's not centralized around 2 owners or 1 owner. Decentralized means you have to, what you just said, I have to rely on someone else's expertise to go, I trust you, I know you, I trust you, run with it.
Right.
Here's who SLAB is, here's who we are, here's what we want to do, but because you're the expert, I'm going to let you run with it. Rather than micromanaging someone to go, hey, this is my idea, you don't have a say-so, so do it this way. No. You're not going to get any buy-in as a company or as a leader, as an owner, if you do that. No. Yes, there's boundaries, but to go, hey, run with this, because you probably know more than I do. Okay, well, he trusts me.
No, and I think, you know, the staff, I hopefully feels that. I mean, I try to think of in every single, all the TV shows. I mean, I was let them know it's the staff,
Mm-hmm.
because we need them. I mean, they're
Yeah.
the ones that run the show. I mean, I'm just the guy in the back, taking trays to the back,
Yeah.
And
That's
they're
cool,
the ones
man.
that are running it. I mean, and so I appreciate. I mean, I'm so thankful for them, and I'm so grateful that some of those people, some of the staff members we had for 4 or 5 years since the beginning.
Yeah. And
You
it's
know,
so cool, man.
And
Just-
when
just
did you
see
know
that.
in this industry, in this restaurant industry, I mean, it's a lot of times unheard of.
Yeah, and it says a lot about your culture around there. So we're gonna fast forward to where
Sure.
we met, but also to know that hey, there's a location in Oak Hill.
Yep.
There's a location at Burnett Road,
And
I-
183
I
Burnett,
won't-
183.
Yeah, 183 Burnett. I won't say that there's probably another location yet. It's in the works,
It's in the
regardless
works.
of what it is,
It's getting
wherever
close.
it's at, right?
Yep.
Maybe closer to home
Right.
here, but just be on the lookout if you're listening to North Austin. But anyways, dude, so you and I make a plan to go play golf, and I have this business idea just like you do to
Right.
help people get better,
Yeah.
to personally develop
Sure.
them in leadership and personal growth.
Right.
Gets rained out.
Right.
We go to Top Golf
Yeah.
and we start discussing, hey, here's what I know about customer service. It's always about people. You and I start discussing about training, and I think the rest is history. But Made4More is here to motivate, inspire, and encourage people. And the motivate is to find out people's why. Inspires to hear stories like you, and encourage to go. The tangible things when we hit encourage is to go, how can I help an organization get better with tangible things? So you tell me, you don't know what I'm about to ask you, so
Okay.
I'm trying to tell people at home and people listening, this isn't about me. This is about how we have become friends. But you tell me, what has Made4More kind of done for you individually, and then as a staff, as a SLAB, as a businessman?
Sure. I mean, one of the things I want to say first is, I mean, if you remember, I came to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I believed in you as a leader, and we clicked, but I really love your leadership qualities, and I saw that, from church.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that and your experience, I was like, man, this guy has something that I want to help, I want to carry over to the restaurants. I want that leadership quality,
Mhm.
because I felt that that's where we need it right now, and so for us, bringing Made4More on board, I mean, what's happened, what's helped out for us the most is the communication,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for all companies, I mean, and I listen to, not just this podcast, of course it's the best one, but hit that subscribe button.
He's trying.
So,
Good job,
again,
good job.
maybe get that head. Communication comes up almost in every single podcast,
Yeah.
and it's that, effective communication. It's that communication that really means something. It's not just it's genuine, and so, I felt that you kind of helped structure that communication. I was always like, I'm not a big fan of meetings, because I felt that meetings were, there was no structure to them, and at least the meetings that we were having.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about us in the partnership is we're creative people, and so our meetings can it'll start going in one line, and then all of a sudden take a hard left turn, and then we're talking to someone else, and somebody has to kind of put us back in line.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not that I don't love meeting with my partners, but I just felt like, man, we need a little bit more structure in the communication, that not just top down, but just us also at the top, and so I feel that this guy Mario may be able to help us out, and kind of helps, keep us in line.
Yeah.
In communication, and that's where you played a big part, is really getting us to communicate better.
Yeah, and then like you said, not everybody's a fan of meetings, but what was interesting is COVID hit, we started partnering.
Yeah.
And then we met, we still to this day meet weekly for just 1 hour. So
Sure.
I'm going, I don't want to even imagine 2 or 3 hours, but
Right.
1 hour a week
Right.
for the last, I mean, it's almost coming up on a year, I think.
Yeah.
But what it's done is it's put us in line as me, you, and Raph. We're in one straight line. We know what to expect. But then you carried that over to your GMs, right?
Right.
Once a week.
The GMs now are meeting once a week.
And how has that helped?
It just keeps everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
And it allows for that forum too, for people to kind of express anything that they want to share.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is that, these meetings are for people's voices to be heard,
Mhm.
good or bad,
Yeah.
frustrated or happy, it's
Yeah.
just, we need to be able to discuss what's going on, and I think what was happening from the top level down is that, again, we'd come up with these events or we'd come up with these ideas, marketing ideas, and we'd forget to share them with the staff.
Yes.
And they'd be like, oh, it would have been nice to have known that, maybe a week or two ago rather than like 2 days ago.
Yes.
And so that was happening.
Yeah.
And so, but now everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. And it's not always perfect, but you and I, again, meeting weekly has helped us get, and then you and Raph meet weekly, so there's at least 3 meetings, an hour a day. But if you spend 40 hours at work, 3 of those hours being a meeting, or 3 different meetings, I mean, you have 37 other hours. If it's only 40 hours, if it's more, what's 3 hours? If it's going to get you aligned, it's going to give you expectation, and it's going to give you goals to go, man, we got this. And that's where we started, man. And I think that's where it's helped. I've seen it the most, that everybody's on the same page. We put some branding out as far as keep it 100, because that's what you guys are all
Right.
about.
Yeah.
We put that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that has probably been one of my favorite things, is to see that SLAB is slow, low, and banging. But the one thing that we kept saying was keep it 100. We need to put that out there. Well, what's keep it 100? What everyone knows, because it's about 100% of the time. Give 100% to your team, your customer, any part, any day, 100%. We don't take any less.
And you're right. I mean, that's why, I wanted it visible at both stores, is because it reminds not just the staff, but it reminds the managers,
Mhm.
keep it 100, but it also reminds us as the owners that, hey, we need to keep it 100. And what that means is not just keep it 100 to the customers, but keep it 100 to the staff.
Yeah. So as a staff member, if I see you doing it, I see my manager doing it, and my AGM, that means that I have to raise the bar myself. And then all of a sudden you have everybody raising the bar, bro. You got a high level team.
Right.
You have low turnover. And that's what I see at SLAB, is I'm going, it's a culture of, we're a team. It's kind of like a family. We keep it 100, but we're moving somewhere. It's not just staying put. So
Right. No.
that's cool, dude. I know we're coming up on time, but there's a couple things I want to ask you.
Sure.
So we never sell ourselves on this podcast.
Okay.
I think I do that to a fault, to go, I don't want, but so why would you recommend us as Made4More to anyone that's listening right now?
I mean,
I'm putting you on the spot,
Sorry,
bro,
already.
and you might get a hat out of this.
No, again, guys. I mean, I came to Mario because, again, your experience, but your leadership qualities, but also, it seems like the organizational part, right? That's
Yeah.
where a lot of people struggle, right? It's like to get organized, and I think that introduction of the 30-60-90, it definitely has helped out, but it's the experience, but also just your leadership qualities.
Mhm.
I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, I enjoy that you're very easy to talk to, and that you have the way that you're able to get across. The point is, it makes it easy.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. And just so you know, just so everybody knows that's listening, is it's a team mentality. I get to spend time with Mark and Raph and the team, and then Adina, my wife, Atiana, and Tyler. Our team is growing, but the thing is we all support each other, just like at SLAB. We all support each other here, but the coaching comes whether it's me or anyone else. But I think that's what is the thing that Simon Sinek always says: is be the leader you wish you had. And I think that's what I wanted to deliver when I go see SLAB. And I think the thing I appreciate you is about the autonomy that you give each GM is, hey, you're going to lead wherever you're at.
And it's hard. I mean, because as an owner, and me and Ref struggle both. I mean, we can be controlling, and that's the hardest part, is that you want to control, but it's hard if we're not there all the time, right? That you can't. I mean, it used to be when I was in online advertising, we talked about seagull managers, right? You get those managers to kind of fly over and then just crap all over everything, and then just fly right off.
Yep.
And I didn't want to be that.
That's good.
Because I wanted to make sure that they knew that, hey, this is their store, and I trust you, and that and yes, I mean, sometimes you're kicking yourself like, oh man, why'd you do it that way? And yes, you probably have to repeat things over and over and over. But I mean, that's just just
That's
part of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
being a
it's
team.
it's like I heard the CRO, the Chief Repeating Officer, right? And so it's just like, and so you know, and you can't stop that, right? I mean, I'm not trying to drive, you know, be out on a yacht and forget my business. No, I want to be there. I want to see, you know.
There's a dream, yeah.
Right.
And so, with that said, so what would you say to someone who's wanting to give up on something they feel so passionate about? The guy or girl that feels defeated before the dream is even maybe taken off. Maybe someone who's stuck in that, you know, maybe they're pushing that ball up the hill and it's almost there, but they feel like from their perspective they're still at the bottom.
Right.
Someone who maybe is afraid to leap. Like what would you say to someone who's feeling probably deflated is a better word?
You know, just looking at my story, there's times where I wish I was a little bit more patient.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you got to take that breath. You got to take that deep breath and be like, okay, let me take a step back. And so let me see what's out in front of me. Let me see the steps I need to take. Because I think sometimes when you're so passionate about an idea that you want it so bad that you're willing to do whatever and then overlook whatever, you know, and sometimes you make hasty decisions, bad decisions, you know, and I think it's better to take a step back. And yes, it may seem like it's not coming fast enough, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's best to kind of just take a step back, make better calculated decisions, you know, and then just trying to jump into something. And for me, it was always faith, man. I mean, you know, you have to have faith, you know, and faith in the God given talents that He's given you, right? And so I knew that this was for me, and there's times, Mary, I mean, where both my mom and my wife were like, "Are you sure you should be doing this?"
Yeah.
And then no lie, the very next day I would have 2 doors open up, big catering jobs would pop up. I'm like, "No, this is where we're supposed to be. This is we're gonna keep pushing it. We're gonna keep pushing it." And I mean, it's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, bro.
Yeah.
Lost my first house for this dream. You know.
It's that whole discipline equals freedom that people don't see, that you're here where you're at because of the discipline of staying with it, man.
Right.
I'll never forget that. That's good.
Yeah, no, and again, it's having also that support, you know, for me it was my wife and also my mom was a big part of this, you know, even family, you know, Monique's family, they helped out wherever they could, you know, just to help out an extra hand, just to if we have an event, I need extra hands, they'd come and give extra hands.
Did they get paid?
Yes, maybe. No, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying is
now
they
got paid.
times that we don't
Absolutely.
get paid. We don't get paid
for sure. And so but you know, just having that support team also, because what you're gonna learn is you can't do this on your own. You know, I mean,
exactly.
It's hard. You know, it's hard. And so I mean, Ralph and I both are about building teams.
That's good.
It's like
man.
building that all-star team, right? You know, it's having, you know, KD and LeBron and Jordan, whatever.
We can take LeBron.
Right, until LeBron. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good.
No,
man.
and that's big for us. It's just creating teams.
So what's a goal right now in your life? Like I'm just thinking, you're moving forward. Your company's moving forward.
Right.
But what's something that you still want to accomplish in life? Or it may not be SLAB, but what's one goal in your life right now?
I think for me, I've worked so hard. You know, I mean, again, my story with Mabry. I mean, I wasn't there a lot. You know, the first few years of her life, and then I was at an event the very next day Lincoln was born. You know, it's true. And so I just have this worker's mentality of like, I need to work. And even now, you know, times when I don't have to be at the restaurant, I still want to be there. And so if you ask me, you know, I don't want to just succeed at work, but I want to succeed in life. And so for me, it's knowing that balance, you know, and being able to say, man, I don't want my kids, all of a sudden I turn around, my kids are 18, 17, and I've missed all that time with them. And because right now it's the fun time, man, you know, I'm not changing diapers right now. You know, I'm playing with them, I'm taking them, you know. And
the jiu-jitsu.
Right, no, and I would love, because, you know, again, I'm self-taught, but Lincoln doesn't have to be self-taught. I can teach him something, I can teach him, you know, how to cook, and I can.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, it's being present more, and it's difficult for me because, again, I come from that hardworking mom that's what she did, and she still does right now. And, you know, at 70-something years old. And so that's what I know the most is work. And so, but I have to be patient, step back, reevaluate the picture.
That's
you
good,
know,
man.
I gotta be Tom Brady, right? You step
Yes.
back and just check
those
off
are-
all the positions.
If anyone's gonna write anything down about today, it's in leadership as it is, it's step back, take a look around, and reevaluate, right?
Yeah.
Have patience.
Patience, man.
So that's good, man. So, and I knew that you were gonna go that way with your goals, because what did we do at the beginning of the year? We wrote down our goals, right? Who you want to be, and that was one of the top ones of yours, if not the top one, was about being a husband and a father that's present.
Right. And yes, and for the SLAB, I mean, obviously, my goal from day one was to build a concept. It's not called Mark's Barbecue for a reason. It's called SLAB because I wanted to create, multiple locations.
Yeah.
And
it's getting there, bro.
Yeah.
That's good. Even with the pandemic, you're making strides because of the team mentality. So, who was your biggest influence? I don't know. I mean, not even with barbecue, but just in life.
No, Mom.
That's good, bro.
My mom.
That's
Easy.
good. Yeah. That's easy. That's good, man. And then, so we like to have a little bit of fun. And I know you're our first interview.
Okay.
So we're gonna probably end most of the interviews like this. If you are backstage, you're about to walk out WWE style, and you say, "Hey, I need you to play the song when I walk out." What song is it?
I mean, if at work, they say Camp Low. This is it. There's a Lucini AK. But to be honest, I'd probably Big Pimpin'. I like that.
You almost made me spit out my water. Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z.
Yeah, by Jay-Z.
So when
The
that song
UK
came out,
version, the
yeah.
UK version.
When that song came out, dude, I had this Mustang with 212s,
Yeah.
this Ant Bridge, and my wife now at the time, Jamie, she hated that song every time I play it. But I was like, okay,
No,
whatever.
that's I
Big
like that
Pimpin',
song, man.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Okay, WWE style.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, dude, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna tell these guys some action steps, but dude, I appreciate you being here. Any last thing you want to share?
No, listen, man. I'm proud of you. I know this is something we talked about, and I'm just happy to be here. I feel honored to be the first guest. Am I the first guest?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm honored for that. I mean, thank you so much. And I'm excited for you guys. I mean, I think you got a good team as well, and that's the big part of it is creating that team. And I think listening to y'all's podcast. I mean, you guys are making moves.
I appreciate it, man, and you might get the hat. But anyways, hey, going back to these action steps before we let you guys go. Number one is if you have not gotten to SLAB, make sure action step number one is get your butt to SLAB. Go try it. And my favorite are the nachos. You get all the meats on there. Yesterday, I tried the just chicken. Awesome nachos. So make sure you get there. Then the rest of these action steps. I mean, I don't even know. I think he said some good things about it as far as detaching, which is back away, have some patience, look around, reassess, and then re-engage. But don't get down on yourself. Don't give up. The other thing I was going to tell you guys is, again, they have some gear as well at their locations. So make sure you go check out, get you a hat, get you a t-shirt, represent some SLAB. And if you let us know that you tried some barbecue, you know what? Yeah, just let us know. Just let us know if you tried. Tell us what your favorite is. Go to the website, check out SLAB.
DopeBBQ.com.
DopeBBQ.com. Go check it out.
Hey, one more thing though before. Don't forget that, hey, you're not alone.
You're not alone. Yeah.
You're not alone, because that's the other big part is you're not alone.
That's good, dude. That's good. And you can add, and as we wrap up, check us out on social media, follow us. But like Mark said, you're not alone. And of course, we wrap up with this is remember you exist for more. You're here to offer more. Don't ever give up. Every single one of us was made for more. Later.
Peace.
That's good, bro.
Okay, the biggest thing I was going to say is we always talk about knowing your why, finding your why, fight for your why, but we never talk about how hard it is.
Yeah.
And how many people
Do we wanna stop
they
this?
think, oh,
You
my
can leave it
why
running, leave it
must
running.
not be right or something's wrong because I'm running into obstacle after obstacle after obstacle.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I think that's
And that
another
happens
podcast
all the
to
time.
write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that which you said this, but you kept asking for help. Like you
Yeah.
kept inviting people into it, and when you have such a big, passionate why, how many people are like, dude, I just want to help you.
Yeah.
Because
But you
everybody,
won't know unless you
but
ask.
everybody
right?
wants to be a part of that. There's like something innately innocent. You want to help people make their dreams come true. Because
There's
so many people don't stand for anything.
Yeah, most people don't have a plan, but they want to be a part of something,
Yeah.
right? They want to be
Yes.
a part of something. They don't want to be alone.
Yep. So they're like, yeah, I'll help you. I don't have a why, but I'll go after your why.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Tyler, still running? All right, guys, everybody that's back behind the scenes, Mark, Tatiana, Adina, Tyler, myself, we'll see you guys next episode.
Bye.